Is any fans of Arrow in the room? Okay, so 1 and 2. All right, good. Now, to get him out onto the stage, we have to summon him with an uncommon amount of joy and adoration. Do you think you can do that for me?
Yeah.
Do you think that you can do that for me? That was the question. I still don't believe you. Can you bring this man out onto the stage with all of your love and affection? Let's go ahead and bring him out. Ladies and gentlemen, Manu Bennett.
Hi guys. Thank you for coming out on your Sunday morning. Okay, my name's Manu. I'm from New Zealand. This is very hot weather.
Hot and sticky.
Why am I wearing a jacket? Take it off.
You know, that's a very good first question to get from the audience.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Take it off.
You know, usually I start these out asking questions of my own. If you guys would go ahead and just start lining up here at the microphone.
I said, I said once, that Joe Manganiello was going to play Slade Wilson Deathstroke. Then I'm going to do Magic Mike.
So Magic Mike 3, Magic Mike Triple XL, or whatever they're going to call it. We got to get more than one person up to the microphone. A couple of people.
Oh yeah, let's do some Q&A.
Yeah, let's do some Q&A. Let's do some Q&A.
What you got, darling?
What's your name?
I'm really nervous. I'm just thinking this. Hi, I'm Dawn, and...
Oh, we're so...
Dawn, you shouldn't be nervous. Manu's going to
so
help you
far
with that.
apart, don't be nervous. It's like we're hanging out in the lounge room, Hey, what's the question?
First of all, so disappointed about Shinar Chronicles. Yeah. My whole family watched it together.
Yeah.
And we loved you in it, and I love you on Arrow. And my whole family watches that too. And I want to know, will you be back?
Will I be back on Arrow? Wow. How many people watch Arrow? I guess, I don't know, I guess it goes something like this. Will I be back on Arrow? Kid, will I be back on Arrow? Time can never mend the careless whispers that you hear on social media. To the heart and mind, blogging and texting is fine, but there's no comfort in the truth, because Slade's future has been defined. I'm never gonna dance again, now that that movie has been written. And though I know I made some friends, that role's no longer mine. I should have known better than to kill his mother, but that's the script that I was given. Kid, I'm never gonna dance again the way I danced on Leanne You. Remember who taught you how to fight? guys over here. This is the funniest thing. Right? Come up, let's come up. Well done. Awesome. You know, I was just at the table yesterday, you know, just signing, and I heard this, you know, this great sound come down. I was going, where is that? And these guys are walking along, we're going to do anything, and I said, hey boys, you know, we're going to try something tomorrow. So, guys, that was really well executed. I thank you very, very much. What was it name again, brother?
We are the Con Players.
The Con Players. Hey. Well, everybody who's videoing out there and out there in the con world, get these guys along to the next convention. We'll have some more fun with stuff like this.
Yeah, that didn't take any planning whatsoever. That was great, right?
You know what? And because they were wearing suits yesterday, I went, that doesn't have to come in a suit. Anyway, I think that paid off. That was fun. That was a lot of fun. Who got it on their phone? Yeah, tweak the shit out of that. So a bit out of that.
These kids watch Arrow. They've heard that once or twice. Next up to the line.
Hi, I'm Matt. I'm a big fan of Arrow and Spartacus, and I was wondering what role that you've ever played was the hardest to prepare for?
Maybe the one that I'm preparing for now, which I can't really talk about. But I had to change all my plans. I suddenly had this has only just happened. I kind of had to change my flight. Anyway, well, to be honest, like it was probably Spartacus was probably the most demanding of all the roles that I've ever done. You know, you know, and not only physically, you know, the journey was just such a struggle sometimes, you know. To be honest, I thought my career was gonna change when I landed this movie to play an MMA wrestler by the name of Mark Kerr in a movie called Smashing Machine. And that was meant to film in South Africa. There was going to be amazing MMA fighters like Fedor Emelianenko, this Russian guy who I would have to get in the ring with, and I trained myself and I got really well built and everything. And my, at the last minute, Van Damme was meant to be playing my coach in it, and I reached South Africa to do this movie, and he just never showed up. And 2 days before the film, the producer rang and said, we can't find a replacement. The whole thing is going to fall over. And I was so brokenhearted, honestly. It broke me. It really broke me. I put so much effort into getting to be the size of Mark Kerr, the Smashing Machine. You know, and for me, that it could have been a real, you know, really could have been a real great career move. You know, at the time there was no MMA films out. And this could have been a good one because of all the people involved, Fedor Emelianenko. And so I went back to Australia, and I was absolutely broke. I'd spent every penny that I had on having a private trainer, to get my body shape up, and a friend of mine worked on a building site, and he was a manager of building construction, and he gave me a job as a labourer, a hauler of stone. For those people who watch Spartacus, that's literally what I became. And I was breaking up concrete and putting things in there. But it was good. It was great. It was awesome. I mean, I was around a bunch of guys, and like they were called me Hollywood. They went, "Hey, Hollywood, when's your next audition?" And I'd go, I don't know. And my manager rang me up, and at the time I was digging this big hole in the backyard of a house I'm going to put a swimming pool in. And my manager rang me. She said, she was German. She said, Manu, we have an interesting project. And I said, what is it? She said, it's called Spartacus. And I was like, oh, what do you mean, like the gladiator? She said, yeah. They want you to go into read for Spartacus. At this lady called Faith Martin, really top, one of our top casting directors. And so I got ready and I went in and I got in there and I saw Faith and I said, hi Faith. And she went, Manu, what are you doing here? And I said, well, I'm here to audition for Spartacus. And I looked around and there was kind of like, 18-year-old, 20-year-old kids. And they were like, I am Spartacus. I mean, the truth be, if you've gone to certain parts of the world where there's probably war going on and stuff like that, you might have found somebody who has it in them to sort of say those words with conviction. But we don't live in that kind of time, so it's really hard to sort of find that energy. I mean, one of the reasons why I became an actor is because my mother and brother both died when I was like 15 in 2 different car accidents. And unfortunately, my brother died in my hands, so when I play gritty stuff, when I have to say something with conviction, with those layers that are beneath, that have, I mean, Slade Wilson had it, Crixus had it, I have these opportunities with these roles to bring out that tone. And it's like playing classical piano, It's like, hit those big, dark, heavy notes. You got to go there, you got to find that place. So anyway, so I got in there and there was these young guys said, hey, I'm Spartacus, and of course she said to me, Manu, they're looking for like 20-year-olds. And at the time I was like 38, and she went, yeah, you're too old. And I was like, no, whatever, okay. She goes, yeah, but we'll just put yourself on tape anyway, just do whatever you got to do. I was like, and really I was just going like, oh, bullshit. So I just, but I remember just being kind of annoyed, and I looked at the camera and I went, da 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 da. Thank you. I walked off, and maybe it was a month later or something. She rang up. She said, Manu, Manu, they like your audition that you did for Spartacus. And I went, oh, she told me I was too old. They went, oh no, well, they're looking for different people. Anyway, she said, oh, they want you to go and they want you to read for a different character, Enemeus. How many people watch Spartacus here? I don't know. Oh, okay, yeah. So Enemeus, that Peter Mensah got, right? So I go in and I'm like, what is beneath your feet? And of course I didn't get that role because Peter Mensah does that line so much better. And then another few weeks went past and she rang up and she goes, oh Manu, you didn't get that role. And I was like, ooh. And then they said, oh, and she rang up and she said, oh, they want you to come in and read for another role, for the role of Barker. I remember one scene. I remember the first scene that I ever did with the guy that plays Barker, right? And he came out, and the two of us were coming out as gladiators. It was the very first scene you ever saw me, and you saw the Beast of Carthage, Barker, and we were paraded in the middle of the Romans, in the middle of this, wild Roman party that was going on. Notice how he used the other word? It's the kids. So we walked in, and I remember thinking, like, how am I going to act as a gladiator? As I walked in, I just went in and I stood there like this, and I just went, it's not acting, it's just acting tough. And I looked sideways, and Antonio Tamoyo was like this, smelling his armpit, doing this thing at these girls. And I went, God, how come I don't make choices like that? But anyway, so of course I didn't get Barker either because I couldn't do the armpit sniffing thing. But on that particular role, it went to the point where they were going to fly me to America. And I was like, they said, they're going to fly you over to a screen test. And they rang up the day before I was meant to fly. And they said, Manu, they're not going to fly you to America now. They're giving the role to somebody in New Zealand. I was like, oh. I mean, I think I was getting beaten. Like I was like one of those seals. I mean, I hate the idea of that, but I was the seal. I was just getting beaten. And then I was on the building site, and I was digging this hole in the backyard of this house that I'm going to put a swimming pool in. My manager was ringing up, she was going, Manu, are you still in the hole? And I was like, yeah, it's getting deeper. And then she went, and then she rang up for a couple of weeks later, she goes, Manu, they want to see you for another role, but I don't know how to pronounce this name. Because it was C-R-I-X-U-S, you know. I remember at the read-through, the first table read-through that we did, and I hadn't even really heard it said by anybody else. And it got to Peter Mensa, where he was calling my character out onto the floor, you know, onto the arena, onto the training ground. And we were reading the script, and it got round, and it got to Peter Mensa, and he went, "Cretius!" And I went, "Oh, I hope it's not Cretius." It sounds like something that you'd spray on your ironing pile. Buy some Cretius. No more Cretius. Anyway, so I got called in for this role of Crixus, you know, and I went back to Faith Martin's studio. But that particular morning, you know, I decided that I'd go and swim and really center myself, really get myself as focused as I could possibly be, and as calm as I could be, so that I'd be able to just let it all out in control. So then I arrived and I felt really great, and I walked into Faith Martin's studio, and there was nobody there. And I looked at my watch, and it was like a couple of minutes until I'm meant to be doing my audition. And it got to the time that my audition was meant to be happening, and there was nobody there, and I started to do some push-ups, and I was going, okay, I'm not losing it, I'm centered. 10 minutes later, nobody's there. I'm going, this is, okay, wait up, I'm starting to get a headache, I'm getting migraine. And all of a sudden, Faith Martin walks out, and she goes, "Manu, what are you doing here?" And I said, "Faith, I'm here for my screen test for Crixus." He said, "Manu, you better go ring your agent. They were negotiating your terms, and the producers got really miffed, got peed off because of some negotiation that your agent was pushing for, and they cancelled your audition. They're not going to see you." I mean, everything just sort of, it was like this domino effect, and I was reeling, and then she said, "Manu, I'm sorry, I've got something else I've got to do right now. You need to go." I walked out. And I went walking past the big sports stadium that was there. I remember walking past this giant arena, thinking like, you know, it was kind of gladiatorial kind of feel, you know, and I was like, oh, I'm never going to get inside an arena, you know, like play with the big boys, you know. And I walked, and I rang my agent, and I got through it, and I said, "Ruth, what happened?" And she went, "Manu, I'm so sorry, I don't know what happened. We were trying to get you residuals." You know, because, kid, if you ever do a movie and somebody's going to watch it on Netflix, you should be paid for it. They're still watching your show. And anyway, so you know, she said, "Yeah, we were just, I mean, this is normal for us, you know, to negotiate residuals." That guy works for the residual company. That's right, you can pay me that $5. Anyway, so I say, Ruth, can you please ring them? She said, "Manu, you know, I don't know who to ring." I said, ring anybody, and just tell them that I'll do it for free. That I'd do this role for free. I didn't negotiate any terms. Like, I don't want to lose my opportunity for this because somebody got upset with somebody else, and this is my opportunity. So she said, "Manu, I'll do what I can." And I hung up, and I kept on walking, and I must have been 3 kilometers from Faith Martin's studio when the phone rings. And she goes, "Manu, where are you?" And I said, "Oh, Faith, I'm almost home." She said, "You have to be here in 5 minutes. You have to get here, and I have to film you in 5 minutes. I've only got a couple of minutes to do this, okay? So just run back here now, okay? Just get back here." And it was a really hot day, And by the time I got to Faith Martin's studio, and you know, as I'd planned to get up in the morning and swim and be really centered and be kind of like, you know, I got there, I was absolutely saturated with sweat, just desperate, like, well, you know, just out of my mind. It was, you'll know about this kid, my friend over here is a black belt, what happens in that moment when you've got to do it. Yeah, you've got to get up, you've got to get it all up, and you've got to just center yourself. And I swear to you, there's never been a moment in my life that was more critical than that. 5 seconds before when she said, Manu, are you ready? Wiping sweat off my face, heart pounding, mind spinning. Took a big deep breath and I went, shall I begin? You know, and, oh man, I swear to you, every moment, every bit of anything that ever happened to me just went, and the moment that I finished that audition, I just went, this role is mine. I know that if I've ever acted, I just did it right there and then, you know. And I walked out and I you know, something, a light had gone off, you know, a real light had gone off. And, but still it was like 2 months later that I'm sitting in this bird aviary. I'm sitting in a bird aviary at this place called Taronga Zoo. I just had my first little girl. My daughter was in a pram. And I was actually sitting there thinking like, how am I going to feed this baby? You know, because I hadn't heard back. So I'd started to think like, oh, that wonderful feeling you had when you left that audition. Well, that was just a wonderful feeling. I'm pushing the pram, just listening to these birds. My name means Manu, by the way. This was such a symbiotic moment. All these birds are going. I was just thinking, I'm like, birds. A child. The phone rang, and the producer. This is one of the things that maybe people won't know. But who knew that I was in Xena, Warrior Princess? Okay. So yeah, so 10 years before, I did an episode of Xena Warrior Princess with Lucy Lawless, you know, who ended up playing Domina in Spartacus, you know, Lucretia. And she, her husband, who was the producer of Xena in New Zealand, Rob Tappert, he ended up being he was the producer of Spartacus. Him and an old school friend of his had come up with it when they were in university, that one day they would get together. And his school friend, Bill Ham, had just become the CEO of Stars Network. So he had suddenly he was in a position to pull the strings, you know what I mean? And so he'd rung up Rob and said, oh, you know, I'm the head honcho at Stars. And Rob had gone like, well, what about that idea we talked about back in university days about doing Spartacus together? And that's how that idea was born. And then when they started thinking about the characters, you know, and I'd gone in for those certain characters, it was Rob who was actually sort of saying, oh, we should see this guy, Manu, you know. So anyway, it was him on the phone. Anyway, Manu, he calls me Manu, he's from Texas. It's Manu. But he went, Manu?
Hey, I'm from Texas and I can say it the right way.
Yeah, well, thank you.
You know, what can I say?
You're probably educated, I should say that. Rob is one of the smartest. He's brought so much work to New Zealand, and I owe that guy for my career. He gave me 30 Days of Night with Josh Hartnett as well. That guy has helped me have the career that I've got. But anyway, he was, Manu, it's Rob Tappert. And I went, oh, hi Rob, hey. Anyway, Manu, I'm the producer on Spartacus. I went, oh. He went, Manu, listen, we've all been watching your audition, and we really like what you did, but unfortunately, I can't offer you the role. I was like, what are you calling for? It's just like the last hit. And I said, yeah, okay. And he said, well, Manu, I can't offer you the role because what had happened in Xena, when I did Xena, is we'd had like 10 years beforehand. I played Mark Antony, and I had this fight against these Romans. And when I'd done the fight, I'd gone out to the stunt guys and I'd gone, hey guys, these swords are made of rubber. And they went, yeah. I said, well, instead of going like missing each other, like, you know, because you can sort of see at that point on Xena, I don't know whether I'd really seen a fight that looked like something that ended up looking the way it did on Spartacus. So I said to them, listen, why don't we just hit each other? So we went into this fight scene and I was like, bang, and I was whacking this guy right across his chest, or, you know, stabbing the guy and really hitting him in the gut and stuff like that. And there was this safety woman on set who had gone like, stop, 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 stop. And we're in the middle of this big fight scene. She goes, you can't do that. Stop doing that. We're like, oh, okay, well, you know. Then we went back in and we hit each other again. Anyway, so that was on Xena 10 years beforehand. And Rob went, Manu, we can't offer you the role unless you promise not to hurt our Spartacus. I said, what do you mean, Rob? He says, well, you remember back in Xena, you know, you're a bit crazy with the swords. And I was like, Rob, I promise. I hit Andy Whitfield and all those other gladiators so much. Andy, you know, yeah. I mean, really, I broke that promise so many times. Because it was just, that was one of the great things about Spartacus. We all trained so hard, and so, you know, we all knew each other's movements so well that we could go within an inch of hitting each other, and sometimes we would hit each other, you know. And then when I promised, Rob said these words. He said, Manu, welcome to Spartacus.
Hello, Manu. My name is Ken.
Hey, Ken.
Speaking of another fight on set, Condemned. I read something that you and Stone Cold had a little scuffle. Could you explain about that?
Wait. A scuffle with Stone Cold Steve Austin?
A scuffle with Stone Cold Steve Austin. Okay, here we go. Actually, there was two scuffles. The first one was with John Cena. Okay. This happened, right? So one of my very first acting jobs. It was actually before Spartacus. It's why I ended up getting the smashing machine thing lit. Because of these. I did 2 films for WWE. The first one that I landed was with John Cena called The Marine. And we were in a fight scene, and John had the move of going like this with his arm as I came down, like with a hammer fist this way. And I was hitting him with the inside part of my arm, and he was sort of doing this, and then he threw a hook. And we did it a whole bunch of times, and you know, we were trying to keep up our energy and go there. And then suddenly he went in for his hook, and he smacked me right in the face about as hard as he possibly could. It was a great John Cena hook that sent me reeling onto the ground. And as I landed, the cameraman was right there, and I was going like, well, this is going to be a good shot. So I got smacked right in the jaw by John Cena. A good knock. It was a good one. I had to go to the hospital. But not because of that, because of my forearm. My forearm blew up purple because of him blocking it with the bone, the soft tissue against bone. But then sort of about a year or so later, and this was a funny situation because I was at the gym, and my friend in the gym's who was an actor as well, he said, have you gone in to read for the WWE movie? And I went, oh, they're doing another one? And he said, yeah, like, there's a big casting call today at Faith Martin's. And, you know, I said, no, I don't know about that. So I rang up my agent and I said, the WWE doing another movie? She said, yeah, but you've done one with them already. Things can slip through the cracks unless you're there ready to go, come on. So I said, well, you know, is it a different type of character? You know, and anyway, so she rang them and they said they'd seen me for this pucker, you know, for this Mexican guy. And I went in and you know, said, con el puño lo voy a matar. Which means I'm going to beat you to death or something like this with my fist. That was a line that I had to do in the audition. And anyway, so I got the role. And getting to your question about Stone Cold, right? So we were shooting on this island, and it was a volcanic island. And there's this moment where I come up out of the water, and I've got my chains, and I run up the rocks, and I get up, and I come around this huge boulder, and as I get around, who's there? Stone Cold Steve Austin. And he throws a punch, and I throw a punch, and I do a big hook at him. Okay, that's the first thing is I do this giant hook at him. And as I came around the rock the first time he was there, and I like it was like volcanic rocks, and you really had to watch your footing. And I sort of grabbed my feet on the rocks, and I kind of went whack. And then they said, oh, they went cut. Manu, your punches, like we can see the distance between your fist and his face. It's missing him by too big a margin. You need to get to a position where it's coming over his shoulder, his head's here. You've got to be able to come around there so when he turns his head, you've got to sell this shot, right? And so I said, okay, so I ran up again, came around the corner, Stone Cold Steve Austin, head, and they went, you gotta go closer. I said, guys, I felt the wind on his nose in that one. And they went, Manu, it's not selling. You've got to come around. I said, Stone Cold is the first day of shooting. I said, Stone's cold. Knows what don't worry, you're not going to hit him.
That sounds prophetic.
So I ran up around the boulder. This is exactly what they said. Around the corner, launched, went woof, and it was straight in the corner of his eye. I mean, boys who've ever been in a fight, you know that one that lands and it sounds like an apple crunching. And it was just boom. And Stone Cold went down. I'm sorry, I shouldn't say that with any kind of bragging rights, but it was kind of like Stone Cold went down. My nephews were on the side of the set going like, we're all gonna die. Stone Cold's gonna kill us.
And you're like, my career's gonna die.
Well, I knew at that moment that this was, that was a big, it was, and he went down, and there was blood coming down, and split his eye, and the next morning he came down to breakfast and had sunglasses on, and the whole thing just went purple, and they had to apply, makeup. If you watch The Condemned, watch the scene where he jumps out of the helicopter and comes up on the beach, and you'll see the makeup is starting to run off, and you can see it. Nobody really knows because they know, but that happened. And then what really irked me the most about how that story being told is that on the video for The Condemned, in the background scenes on these special scenes, there's an outtake, there's an interview with the stunt coordinator, and the stunt coordinator's going, oh yeah, we had one incident on set where an inexperienced actor, he said those words, and I was like, mother, where's my mummy? And it was, I was like, wait, that's unfair. But it was, Stone Cold, yeah.
Well, how did Stone Cold take it? Did he? Did he hold a grudge?
No,
because that's a guy you don't want a grudge from.
No. The Stone Cold is such a gentleman. Such a really, it's funny because both him and John Cena, but John Cena's actually very he's yes sir, yes sir. But Stone Cold's exactly the same way, There's only one time, when you're sort of in the public where, I think it probably goes for any actor where you're really in the heat of attention, that he sort of, rears up a bit and sort of just plays, Stone Cold, like this. But the rest of the time, he's actually very funny, he sort of leads conversation with humor, and lovely guy. Yeah, no worries, brother. No worries.
Alright, so Crixus was my absolute favorite character in Spartacus. That story arc for Crixus, being the top dog, and then the rivalry between Spartacus and then their later friendship and everything, that was fantastic. When Andy passed away, I was really concerned that the show was just gonna fall off, they get the new actor and like that. But everybody around that new actor did such a good job. How was that for the crew, including yourself? Because you and Spartacus, your storylines are intertwined. You guys are probably the closest.
Can I add into this? Were you as a cast talking about this? Were you all kind of individually facing it? Talking through your representatives.
To be honest, nobody knew that Andy was in as much trouble as he was with the cancer. He was very private about it. He took trips to India, and he did a couple of things, trying to find alternative ways as well. And nobody really knew about it. Nobody was really talking about Andy's recovery so much. We just believed that we were going to go into the second season soon with Andy. And I actually went to a movie premiere. It might have been a Quentin Tarantino film or something like this. But when I was there, I saw Andy, and he was there with his wife Vashti, and I went, you know, I almost went up and wanted to congratulate him because I heard he'd, you know, been in remission and was getting along, you know, better. And when I looked at him, I rang my producer the next day and I said, "Is Andy okay?" And she said to me, "Manu, it's, how do you know?" And I said, "Well, I don't know. I just saw him." And she said, "Well, you know, it's just been discovered that it's come back again." And at that point, we just thought that there'd be more treatment for him and stuff like that. We were actually filming on set one day, and they stopped production. At that time, during the whole production of Spartacus, we kept on thinking that we weren't going to be renewed anyway. During our first season of Spartacus, we got slammed by the critics. I mean, slammed. You know, they said that we were a terrible show, too graphic, and we were expected to be cancelled. And this particular day when they called us all off, we expected to go to this. We were going to meet with Paul Corinda, one of our producers, and we expected him to tell us that the show had been cancelled. Except we got there and he said, yeah, he said, yeah. And yeah, there's this huge vacuum. That just, yeah, it was unbelievable. You know, I've never heard it anywhere go so silent. And everyone sort of walked into their own space and kind of had to think about, Andy. One of the greatest things that we ever did as a tribute to Andy, and it was never shown. There's one video that reached social media that we sent to Andy when he went in for his first chemo treatment, and it was Barker and myself and a group of the other gladiators. We did this haka. Barker led it because I'm Maori, but I don't do it as well as Antonio. Antonio's a real Maori in language and everything. He came out and he led this haka, and we sent it to Andy. After Andy passed, we did one that we would play at the funeral in Australia. That was held in Australia, and it was only played on a screen in a church in Australia. But it was everybody from production, and we were all on the training square. All the women were up on the balcony, with a domino and those guys used to stand, and all the men were down on the training square. And I had the honour to lead it, and it was incredible, the energy in that particular thing, the amount of collective emotion that went into that performance, to that recognition of the man, Anyway, that's that.
Well, thank you. You guys made a fantastic show.
Thank you.
I'm only moral support.
Hey, you think you're nervous? I'm on stage. You think I'm nervous.
I'm nervous. My God, yeah.
Well, I know Kyle a bit too young to watch Spartacus, probably Arrow too, and probably Xena at this age, but
I did a voice on American Dad.
Definitely too young for American Dad.
I was a wood chopper. Oh, that's funny. Yeah, but I just went, "You gotta chop more wood."
So I was wondering if you were talking about Andy and everybody else on the set of Spartacus, and I was wondering if you had any particular friends in any role that you've done, like Slade Wilson or Crixus, like any particular friends that ever helped you during the issues that you had?
I mean, when you're on a show for a long period of time, you get to be pals with people. You got Folks are the ones that maybe you're sharing a lot of scenes with, that you're hanging out with.
Yeah, I mean, the girl that played Shadow, you know, on Arrow, you know, she, you know, her and I had a great laugh. You know, we'd sort of hang out and spend those cold, wet Vancouver forest scenes where the rain gets into your bones and you get chilled. And I mean, you know, it's fun as well. You know, it's a lot of fun. But you know, there's always such a huge group of people around you. I like to be part of the umbrella in a series now. I think as a young actor, you usually go in there and you kind of, it's about me. You know, there's kind of a thing. You know, I'm becoming a veteran now of this sort of industry, and I love to be able to get onto the set and say hello to the DOP, the camera operators, the sound guys, the guys running around who are going to make you coffee, you know, and just really understanding that the machine is made up of a lot of people and a lot of friends if you open yourself up to it, you know. You know, some people shut themselves off to it, and maybe that's, you know, maybe that's just their way. There's no right or wrong, but you know, I find that my enjoyment in production is now actually being part of the production, you know, and befriending sort of a lot everybody, you know. I mean, then you kind of, you know, when you get to the end of it, you know, you all really worked together and you understood each person's role and you credited them for their role, and they'll give you feedback as well, and that's what friendship is, you know. So you know, I like to broaden my friendship circle as much as I can. Part of doing conventions is kind of, you know, that wonderful opportunity as well, you know, to meet people and just be, I don't know, somehow holding hands in a larger growing circle, you know. That's, anyway.
Well, something that I'd offer to her is, you may be too young for Spartacus, but you're definitely not too young for Xena. Xena's fine.
Not my episode.
Lucy Lawless was her first crush, actually, and
Okay, then Xena is definitely perfect for her.
Because I'm a horrible parent. She's kind of wacky about Crixus, actually.
Moral support? You just threw your daughter under the bus. What kind of moral support?
We're just about right at time, but I think we can get both of you. Go for it.
Oh, yeah.
Probably I'm even worse parent because this one loves Arrow, they love all the superhero series, and it's kind of a family tradition to do it. So given that probably we will not have any more Deathstroke, can you put on the mask and say one last, "Hey kid"?
Of course I can.
Got the mask right here. Come on. Okay, let's do it.
But kid, you got
Kid, get up here. Ven acá, papi. Come on. Here we go. This is the part where you get your phones out. If your phones aren't out, you're doing it wrong. All right, hold on. Everybody ready? Everybody ready?
I don't know whether I can. Oh, here we go. Right, okay. Hey, kid. I'll be back.
He's like, yeah, I'm just gonna stay here. I'm good. I'm running.
There's Santa Claus, and then there's Deathstroke.
One of them brings you presents, one of them brings you death. Last one.
What would your dream role be?
Dream role.
Like anything, any character, anyone. If you could
Doesn't
play
even necessarily need to be like a comic book character
No,
or a
it could
character,
be
any of that kind of thing.
anything. If you could play it, what would you do?
Oh, you know, I think I've had just really wonderful opportunities already. You know, you know, I think the great mystery of life, you know, is you know, the next chapter of your life, you know, and I think if you try to design it too much, you create the expectations that can give you sleepless nights. You know, as an actor, I know how vulnerable it is digging holes in the backs of houses. That if you worry too much, it can be very stressful. just, you know, I as an artist, I just taking each role that comes along as an opportunity to, I don't know, put my truest feelings, the energy that I have. You know, I often refer to acting like piano playing. I love to play the piano, you know, and there's a moment where if you can just get on those keys and find your space and forget that there's an audience and just feel it, then when you come out of that space, people give you a round of applause, or they go, nice, beautiful, that touched me, and stuff like that. And then you understand what art is about. And you know, for me, it's just to know that the next opportunity I get, that I'm able to do that. You know, just to relax and not have to. You know, as I said, you know, when you're a young actor, you're very conscious about yourself. You're nervous, and a lot of things get in the way of your art. As you get older, you realize you kind of just need to just let all that go and get there and do a good job. So for me, it's not so much about the character that the role will be about. It's about the ability to let go and share and give freely, and then find out what happens. You know, and that could be a historic character, that could be a cultural character, that could be me dressed up as a woman. I don't know, but if it makes sense and you can make that emotional connection with the audience, just do your job. That's all that matters. So who knows? It's a mask with a question mark on it. But you know, when they give it to me, I'll put it on. I'll do my best. Yeah.
I've just got a couple little bits of business. If I could ask a favor of you, the audience, we have a really wonderful crew that's been keeping this show running really wonderfully all weekend. Can we get a round of applause for the crew? And I especially appreciate it when we have a guest like yourself that all of us love so much, who swings in, you know, at the last minute to join us as a surprise. And I think I speak for all of us. One of the more delightful surprises of the weekend, suddenly Manu Bennett's here to make everything cool. Let's hear it for one more time, everybody. Thank you. Appreciate it. Band, one more time.
Yeah, the boys.
Follow them on social media.
Thanks, guys. Come on, give us a play out. Give us one more play out of that song.
Yeah, I mean, we set everything up. Why not?
Yeah. There you go. I just got to plug it in. It's more complicated than me. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Thanks, guys. Thank you. Arrow. See you later. Bye, my friend. We're never gonna dance again.